Queensland boy, Australia. Grew up on a small grain farm. My mother is a great horsewoman and she taught us to ride, my brother and I, and we rode our ponies around the farm. He would be busy herding the cattle and I'd be busy looking for logs to jump over on my ponies, so that's how it happened. When I left school, I had a super horse, a full thoroughbred, and I went down south and was in fact a working pupil for Kevin McNabb. And he took me really from juniors, in 1-star to 4-star, that horse. That horse was called Dio Giovanti. In 2011 I decided to move to the UK in preparation for the London Olympics. London was obviously my first Olympics. I had a really good ride cross country and it was a great thing to be a part of. We moved to Grubbins Farm 2 years ago. Before that I was with Sam and Lucy Griffiths down in Dorset. Whilst we've got plenty of room at Grubbins Farm for many horses, we do boast that we are more of a boutique eventing centre where we like to keep our numbers down and feel like we can focus on the horses more intently. I must say I am not keen on riding the maximum number in a one-day event, which is 5, because I do feel like there's always one that gets neglected, so I do enjoy doing a good job of 3 or 4. We have a small team. We usually have between 3 and 4 staff members, not including Beck and myself. Jade is the head girl and she's in charge of making sure everything runs smoothly and all the horses are cared for to the utmost. On a day-to-day basis, Beck does all the admin work. She's taking care of all the entries, taking care of all the invoicing. So my job is really to ride the horses and focus on them as much as possible. We certainly do offer teaching as part of our services here at Grubbins Farm. We've a growing number of pupils that are coming here on a regular basis. And I must say I find it quite rewarding when I see my pupils go out and perform and compete well. I've been very fortunate to have Shockamole Sport come along and be our major sponsors. Next year, of course, is the Rio Olympics, and we're in selection now. For the Australians and the New Zealanders that are based here in the UK, we don't have anything in this year. Whilst the other guys have the Europeans to focus on and have an opportunity to get a team experience for them, we tend to do the big shows like Badminton and Burleigh, so it is a special year for us to be doing well. This year I'll be riding TS Jemimo at Badminton. I first sat on the horse as a catch ride at Adelaide in 2013, so really not very long. It's an amazing story how I came to have the ride on him in the first place. We just went back to Australia like we do to do some teaching, and I had a phone call from our very good friend Will Enzinger, who'd unfortunately broken his leg, and he said, listen, could you ride this horse? My first cross-country fence that I ever jumped on the horse was fence 1 on the 4-star, so that was an amazing thing. And we were very fortunate to come out of that event in first place. He's a tremendous little horse. He really is little. He'd be 16 hands if he stood on his tippy toes or if he got a bucket out to stand on. And he's a really unsuspecting, tiny little thoroughbred, and he's all heart. When the chips are down and it's all going wrong, he tends to just dig deep and find something extra. And that's something that I think is a quality of a very good horse. I guess, his only weaknesses would be his age, his year of birth. If we could change that somehow, is probably the only thing holding him back. Of course, like everybody, I'd love to be in that rare minority of people that could say they've won badminton. But whatever, I love competing there because it really is a special event. It gives you butterflies just walking into the stables there, if you ask me. It's such an iconic event in our sport. We're really fortunate as Australians to have the high performance funding, which means that we have access to our coach, which is, we say you're Gareth Hughes, but he's actually an Aussie as well. And Gareth has been really fantastic for us in the dressage phase of eventing, and we'll be just going through the movements and focusing and fine-tuning on the things that we need to in the days and hours leading up to our test.
Every ride is a bit different. Everyone needs sort of something a little bit different each time. Chris very much is just letting him do his own thing, just give him a bit of guidance, sort of set him up and eyes on the ground and point him in the right direction and tell him when to go in. I thought he did a great job. Chris is a very clever rider. I thought the horse showed a lot of quality through the test. Personally, I think it was slightly harshly marked. I think it's hard these days. He's a very thoroughbred type, and sometimes they don't look quite as bold in the arena. I think he did some of his best work.
it can always be better, and we're always trying to improve the horse, but he tried hard. And it was nice to hear from my coach Gareth that he felt it was probably some of the best work he's done, so maybe the score didn't reflect that today, but that's dressage. Now the sun's come out, I'm going to enjoy myself. Well, I can sit back and relax and watch the other guys go. That's the great thing about only having one horse. So he'll be busy being hand grazed thanks to our ever devoted groom Jade. That'll be his afternoon.
At home, James lives out 24/7 in the field. He just is happier living out. When we're away like we are for now, I just bring him out as much as I can to pick grass, because it's kind of his downtime, it's when he can relax, so I'll try to take him out 2-3 times a day. I just want to make him as happy as possible, and this is what makes him happy. So Chris and James are sitting in 26th position on a score of 47.7. A good score, a good position to be in. The scores are all very closely bunched together. Chris would walk the course 3, 4, 5 times, it depends. Sometimes he might just go and walk a particular line he's worried about.
Steep hill, blind turn, and I think this will ride long on my little horse. So here we are at the head of the lake now. A and B over the wicker basket, jumping in a little bit straight, but still thinking right-handed towards my bank and bounce out. 3 positive strides across the water, and hopefully get a good stride to that C that I can bounce out over D easily. Tough fence, plenty can go wrong, and you've got to be quick thinking on your feet when it does. Hey, no dunking. He's been needing some exercise, that dog.
Push?
Down here?
Yeah.
No. Fence 23, A and B. Looks fairly simple, but a fence that you'll find all of the riders are taking very seriously. Vertical gate, something none of us like. Okay, they're on frangible pins, which means we'll only get penalties if they come down, so we'll be taking them very seriously. Getting square, getting our horses back, and trying as best we can to get a really good strike, having the fence within the canter stride. I think at this stage down the hill will be in the hand 6. Nice forward line through here, down the hill. I think the horses should be allowed to run along and jump out of their canter. But they're very tall, they're very narrow, so they've got to be listening and they've got to be accurate.
Important pace.
At the start of the leg fences.
Like everyone, I think the cross country is the most exciting part and the most appealing part of eventing. Although it's always very nerve-wracking, so we try to just do a little bit of a pipe opener, a small gallop, open them up a bit, jump a few fences, and then go through the course and into that 10-minute box.
I get very nervous, but I don't let on. I try and be very calm on the exterior.
New starter underway is number 22, Chris Burton.
But once Chris is out of sight and on way, I do need someone's hand to hold for the 11.5 minutes. In saying that, it's also very exciting, and there's a great sense of pride watching him go and do what he does well.
You know, we haven't done the best dressage test, or haven't got the best score, so we've got to have a crack, and I'm pleased to say that we certainly did that today. Of course, I had my silly decision turning the wrong way, crossing my tracks at Huntsman's Close, so I'm of course very devastated. A split-second decision that meant we are not up in the top 10. Particularly sad for the horse because he tried so hard and went so well, and I'm very sorry for all the owners that have supported me. I was concerned that this has given him a shake-up. I thought, we're in trouble here on a careful horse. But he is such a trier. He's an absolute little trooper. He put his ears back and he said, right, I'm going to have this course. And he cracked on and he was just outstanding. It was sad to have that horrible ride on that Huntsman's Close, because it was, other than that, really the way I wanted it all. So very happy with him. Well, the show jumping day's always a lot of fun if you're fortunate enough to have a careful horse like I do this year. However, getting there's the hard part.
TS Jemimo is accepted.
We're through the trot up, and pleased to say the old horse is looking fantastic. He's pulled up fit and well. So looking forward to the show jumping. A nice course in that the lines are not too relentless, so we've got enough time around each turn to regather our horses if we're having trouble. So that I think is quite kind, but certainly up to height and tough enough. Show jumping, really, if he's having more than one rail down, I think we can safely say it's my fault, not his. He's a very careful horse. He's a very good jumper. He's easy to ride to the fence. It's nice to go into the show jumping phase on him, I have to say. If I ride him well, we can be quite confident about not having too many down, so I was very pleased to have a clear round today. Of course, I had my little silly decision crossing my tracks at Huntsman's Close, so I'm of course very devastated. A silly little mind lapse, and I paid a very big penalty. So that's part of the sport though, and I'm just so happy with the horse, the way he feels and the way he's jumping. Long term, we'll give this guy a little spell, and then we'll discuss with the owners where we go next, and see. I think he's telling us he wants to do more. The short-term plans for us, of course, we're focusing on Rio. The Olympics is something that's very exciting for us as Australians, something that all owners enjoy being a part of. I'm hoping to have 3, maybe even 4 qualified for the Rio Olympics. This doesn't mean they'll be selected because, of course, Australians have got many strong riders, but certainly that's my aim, to have myself in a good, strong position.